The film opens at a military recruitment examination room. A panel of examiners is examining a young man, Kim Min-kyu. This is his third examination. They ask him to remove his hat and face mask. Min-kyu suffers from a rare condition where contact with human skin causes severe allergic reactions. However, the doctors dismiss his claim, suspecting he's faking it to avoid military service. One dermatologist even claims to have never heard of such a condition, let alone encountered it. To prove his point, Min-kyu stands up, removes his shirt, and approaches the doctors. He grabs the hand of one of them, and instantly, his body erupts in allergic reactions. Look closely. How can I possibly enlist? I wanted to join the Navy, but it was impossible. Meanwhile, a long line of people are waiting in front of a gaming store for it to open. When the store attendant announces the opening, the crowd surges forward, pushing and shoving. Jae, a master bargain hunter, swiftly rushes to the front and grabs the product she wants. While walking out, a young boy accidentally brushes his greasy hand against the box containing her item, unbeknownst to her. Outside, she excitedly calls her client to inform them and schedule the delivery, a secluded riverside location. The client turns out to be Min-kyu. He asks Jae to place the item in the back seat so he can inspect it. Though finding his behavior strange, Jae complies, believing that the customer is always right. After examining the box with a magnifying glass, Min-kyu discovers a greasy stain on it, concluding it's a fake and not genuine. He refuses to pay and drives away. Jae, refusing to let him get away without paying, clings to the car. She loses her balance and falls, hitting her head. Through the rearview mirror, Min-kyu sees her unconscious. Worried, he gets out of his car and cautiously approaches her, wearing gloves and holding a stick. To check on her, he taps the girl's hat with a stick. She suddenly jumps up, grabbing Min-kyu and demanding payment. Fearing contact, Min-kyu pushes her away and speeds off home. Back home, Min-kyu meets with his personal doctor who has been studying his condition for 15 years. The doctor has bought him a smart watch to monitor his body's changes. Blue signifies normalcy, yellow indicates allergic reactions, and red signals danger. But ultimately, the watch is only a tool, useless in changing his life. How can I date? How can I get married? Am I destined to be alone for life? And if there were a girl, she wouldn't be ordinary. Meanwhile, Jae, the delivery girl, is cursing Min-kyu for skipping out on his payment. At the same time, Min-kyu receives a USB drive via drone, containing a presentation on Dr. Hong Baek-jaeon's life-like humanoid robot called AG3. Intrigued, he decides to visit Dr. Hong's laboratory. True to his reputation as a leading robotics scientist, Min-kyu is greeted at the door by a robot guide. As he enters a vast room, a soft voice speaks. "Welcome, Chairman Kim." A beautiful woman steps forward and extends her hand. Out of habit, Min-kyu raises his stick and backs away. But she clarifies, "I'm not human. I'm AG3, a robot. I'm sure I can please you, Chairman Kim." To prove she was indeed a robot, she stripped off her clothes. As promised, underneath the clothing, a strong, steel body was revealed. Being a cautious person, Min-kyu, despite seeing it with his own eyes, still needed to touch it. He removed his glove and gently touched her hand. His watch remained a steady blue. AG3 was an AI-powered robot capable of reading human emotions and adapting to personalities, ensuring maximum customer satisfaction. To confirm his suspicions, Min-kyu requested Dr. Hong to bring the robot to his home for inspection the following day. When the research team realized AG3 wasn't ready for the inspection, they decided to install additional software into her memory. They accessed a crucial area in her chest, where the vital sensor chips were located, to install the program. While working, a researcher, in a moment of excitement, threw a beer can into the trash. A drop of water from the can splashed onto the sensor chips, causing a short circuit and damaging AG3. Replacing the damaged component would take at least 3 days. Having no other choice, Dr. Hong called Min-kyu to request a 3-day extension, but the request was denied. Desperate, Dr. Hong went to his office, opened a drawer, retrieved an old photograph of a woman who looked exactly like the robot, and made a phone call. Meanwhile, Jae, the bargain hunter, was feeling down after being scolded by her brother for her debt. A strange number called her phone. Thinking it was a lone shark, she started ranting without listening to the caller before hanging up. The caller, Dr. Hong, tried again. He wanted to meet with Jia and promised her 10 million to pay off her debt. She gave him her address. As she regained her composure, Jia realized who the cheapskate caller was and tried to run away. But he was already waiting for her with an umbrella. It turned out they were old acquaintances, former lovers who had broken up. After a moment of catching up, Dr. Hong proposed a tempting deal. Work for him for a specific day, 3 hours in total, and she'd receive 10 million to pay off her debts. It turned out that Dr. Hong had created the robot using Jia as a template, replicating her looks and personality. To make it to Min Kaiyu's inspection, he decided to use Jia as a stand-in for the robot. She was fitted with AG3's armor, a tiny camera attached to her eyes, a wireless communication device, and connected to AG3's memory, enabling her to speak and act according to the robot's programming. After equipping Jia with the necessary knowledge, they headed to Min Kaiyu's house for the inspection. Looking through a gap in the crate, Jia was amazed by the beautiful and luxurious house. Min Kaiyu appeared and, after signaling the delivery person to leave, approached to inspect the robot. Jia, as the robot, closed her eyes and, upon hearing Min Kaiyu's greeting, opened them and exclaimed, "Oh my god, who is this? That's him, that annoying guy. What's he doing here? Is this his house?" Min Kaiyu immediately pulled out his phone and called Dr. Hong. Suspecting what was happening, he didn't dare answer the call and handed the phone to his assistant. Min Kaiyu's voice came through the phone, not with the usual, "I love you, master," but with a "Oh my god, that damn robot is swearing at me." Dr. Hong quickly responded, "Sorry, Chairman, it's just casual language amongst friends. You can try turning off the power and restarting it." Although Jia was mad at Min Kaiyu, she had to play along for the 10 million. After restarting the robot, Min Kaiyu was pleased with AG3's responses. However, he deducted 5 points for outdated language updates. Meanwhile, the research team was celebrating the smooth execution of their plan. Suddenly, the assistant reported that the data input into AG3 was failing. They set it to priority mode. Everything would have been fine if the unlucky guy who damaged AG3 with the beer can hadn't spoken. Everything would have gone smoothly if they hadn't suffered a power outage midway through. Just as he finished speaking, the lights went out. Jia suddenly felt all the data disappear before her eyes. At the same time, Min Kaiyu walked in and began testing the hardware. He instructed her to perform a series of movements: raise her arms, raise her legs, move left, move right. He then coldly deducted 2 points. The next test was cognitive ability and problem-solving skills, all wrapped up in one problem. It was a math problem on a screen. The solution had to be multiplied by the number of fruits in a basket. Then she had to use her sense of smell to estimate the number of ingredients in a spaghetti dish. And finally, divide the sum by 3 to find the password for a lock. She had to figure out what was inside the box, all within 3 minutes. More time would mean deductions. "Oh my god, are you trying to hack my brain? Fine, whatever, just get me to Rome. Watch this," said Jia. She walked over to the box, smashed it open, and pulled out an egg. "Master, the answer is an egg." Min Kaiyu looked at his watch. It was only 13 seconds. Holy crap, how did they create a robot with such advanced problem-solving capabilities? Next, he instructed her to peel the egg within 10 seconds. Before he finished speaking, Jia had already peeled it. When it came to language skills, Jia cleverly replied that the language function was currently malfunctioning. Min Kaiyu, though slightly disappointed, ignored this and moved on to testing her information retrieval capabilities. "AG3, tell me the model number of the model in that glass case." "It's the model I bought, master," she replied, reciting the model number without hesitation and adding information about the number of units produced. Seeing that he couldn't fault her, Min Kaiyu scrutinized Jia. "Why are your breasts bigger than yesterday? Or is it the battery that's swollen? Let me take a look." At this point, Jia forgot she was supposed to be a robot and jumped up and down, yelling at Min Kaiyu. The power was back on in the lab. As they turned on the machines, they witnessed the scene before them. Dr. Hong collapsed to his knees, and his assistant stood frozen in shock. "This is a disaster. We've lost 100 billion won. Dr. Hong's phone rang. "What kind of trick are you trying to pull? Chairman Kim, I apologize. Did you use cheap batteries? That's why they got hot and swelled, causing her chest to grow so large. Oh my god. Mom, I'm alive. Dr. Hong burst into laughter and explained that he had upgraded the battery for longer usage, hence the larger size. He warned Min Caillou not to touch it. Min Caillou, after hearing the explanation, commented that the robot's curses were effective and pleasant to the ear, filled with creative profanities. He found it humorous. Jia, despite her inner annoyance, maintained a bright smile and replied, "Yes, master." The next test was a test of morality. The question was, a delivery person has provided substandard goods and stolen your necklace. Should you only retrieve the necklace or put them in jail? The programming from AG3 suggested criminal prosecution, but Jia instead said, "You should check if there is a mistake." Seeing the robot's answer deviate from his expectations, Min Caillou immediately deducted 20 points. Excited to find fault with the robot, he quickly took his medicine. Unexpectedly, the pill got stuck in his throat, causing him to choke and collapse on the floor. Instinctively, Jia ran to him and patted his back, dislodging the pill and saving Min Caillou's life. Min Caillou looked at Jia with a strange gaze, and her unique emotions were too complex for AG3's memory to understand. He tentatively reached out, making sure she was not human. Jia clasped his hand. The inspection was complete. Jia returned to Dr. Hong's residence. After watching her actions during the power outage, everyone began to scold her. Angry, Jia left, vowing never to return. "At least I earned 10 million. It's enough for a good feast," she said. Jia invited her roommate and her niece out to eat. While eating, her roommate gave her a necklace, saying she found it in her pocket while washing clothes. Shocked, Jia called Min Caillou and told him she would return the necklace. But she also demanded an apology for his accusations of her being a scammer. While eating, Min Caillou was reminded of AG3's actions and began to consider taking her home for a trial period of 1 month. At Dr. Hong's house, everyone was in a panic after receiving news that the parts needed to repair AG3 had been mistakenly shipped to Africa and wouldn't arrive for 5 days. Just then, Min Caillou called. He wanted to test the robot for a month, starting tomorrow. Dr. Hong used the excuse of moving to delay the delivery of AG3 for a week. Eventually, Min Caillou agreed. However, after reconsidering, he sent his staff to meet Dr. Hong, asking him to move the entire research team and their lab to his private residence. Meanwhile, Jia received a call from KM Finance informing her that her startup project was indefinitely postponed. The decision was made by the company's chairman. Dejected but determined not to give up, Jia wrote a letter to the chairman and wanted to personally deliver it, hoping it would touch his heart and make him reconsider. Using the provided address, Jia and her friend finally found the place. Overwhelmed by the magnificent mansion, they were about to enter when a car drove in. Through the window, she recognized the owner of the robot she had impersonated. "That crazy guy, what's he doing here?" "Oh, that crazy guy is the chairman of KM Finance. What a small world." That evening, Jia's brother questioned her about the large sum of money she used to pay off her debt. Suspecting foul play, he went to her room, inspected it, and in anger, smashed her startup project lamp. Upset, Jia packed her things and left in the middle of the night. But it seemed like her luck had run out. The owner of the storage unit Jia rented called to tell her to clear out her things because the landlord was forbidding them from staying there. She didn't know what to do with her belongings. She borrowed a truck and tried selling her things on the street for 30,000 won each, then lowered the price to 10,000 won, but no one wanted to buy them. Back in her room, putting aside her pride, Jia decided to call Dr. Hong. Meanwhile, Dr. Hong's team was also facing a problem. They had to move their lab to Min Caillou's house tomorrow, but they still hadn't fixed AG3, meaning their secret would be exposed. They were considering confessing everything to Min Caillou when Jia walked in with her suitcase. She agreed to work for them for another week, but with a condition beyond their imagination. She only needed a place to eat and sleep. The next morning, a fleet of trucks arrived at the mansion. After arranging a workspace for them, Min Caillou called Dr. Hong and requested that he create a private room where AG3 could directly download data from him. He began creating a password for AG3. Then, he approached Jia, pointed at her chest and said, "Because you saved me yesterday, I'll reward you by creating a room here." don't let anyone in, only I have permission to enter. Just wait for my instructions. He placed his hand on her head and said, I will merge with you. From now on, you will only look at me, follow me, and protect me. Min Caillou began showing Jia around the house. He categorized everything, ranking his favorite possessions as beauties and numbering them based on his preference. For example, his cane was beauty number 1, and the robot vacuum cleaner was beauty number 2. Each item was categorized, rated, and even assigned a birthday. There were 3 sacred zones that were off limits: the card castle, the data cabinet, and the toy model collection. While Min Caillou was still showing her around, Jia clutched her stomach. Why am I having stomach cramps now? I didn't drink any alcohol. Meanwhile, the research team was experiencing the same thing. Jia was about to make a run for the bathroom when Min Caillou turned around and said, That's the bathroom. You're not allowed in there. Only I can use it. Trying to act natural, she followed him into the shrine room where he worshipped his parents. He then made her memorize a photo of his first love. By now, she couldn't hold it in any longer. There was a loud boom from inside her. Hearing the noise, Min Caillou turned to see who the culprit was. Jia quickly blamed him. A robot can't detonate bombs, Master. That's right, but why do I not remember doing that? Master, this smell isn't good. You should change your clothes. Taking advantage of the moment, while Min Caillou was in the bathroom changing, Jia made a quick escape to relieve herself. When she came back, she couldn't find Agi 3. Min Caillou went looking and heard a noise coming from the bathroom. Suspecting someone was there, he pulled out his cane and opened the door. He saw Jia cleaning the bathroom and closed the door again. Alone in the bathroom, Jia smelled something foul. She flushed the toilet and sprayed perfume everywhere to mask the odor. Suddenly, Min Caillou pushed the door open and looked at her suspiciously. I didn't ask you to clean the bathroom. Aren't you afraid of water? Of course not. I am the best robot in the world. I can even wash dishes, she replied. Seeing a bead of sweat on Jia's cheek, Min Caillou reached out to touch her, but slipped and fell. Seeing her 1,000,001 perfume bottle flying through the air, Jia jumped to grab it, landing on top of Min Caillou. Once they were back outside, Min Caillou asked why she hadn't protected him, but instead saved the perfume bottle. Jia, in a typical robotic tone, replied, Because the perfume bottle costs 1,000,001. Min Caillou had to explain to her the importance of saving people first. He even put on a cat mask and pretended to cry for help, but Jia didn't seem to notice. Sometimes she was the cat, other times she was her master, which made Min Caillou laugh and gave her 20 bonus points. He placed his hand on her head and said, From now on, I will love you and treat you well. If you see me changing into a different form, go to that room, open the drawer, take the medicine, and inject it into me. If you can do that, I will promote you to the status of beauty. In Min Caillou's refrigerator, there were delicious lobsters and lamb chops that hadn't even gone bad, but he threw them away. While Min Caillou ate, he ordered Jia to clean up. As she worked, she muttered curses under her breath. Unexpectedly, the broom she was using hit the card castle, causing it to collapse. Min Caillou's anger was immeasurable. But Jia quickly reported, My battery is down to 5%. I'm going into standby mode. Call me after you've charged me. Back in the research lab, the team was huddled together, eating instant noodles. We're all in this together, but some are eating lobster and others are eating instant noodles. Jia invited the others to go upstairs and get some. Dr. Hong distracted Min Caillou so they could sneak in and escape. That night, alone in his room, Min Caillou felt lonely and started considering installing emotions into Agi 3. Min Caillou woke up and immediately called for Agi 3. After a series of questions about his daily routine, he turned to the card castle that she had knocked over. He thought she would be scolded, but unexpectedly, he said, Thanks to you, I've finally broken free from my rigidity for all these years. He was sitting by a window filled with sunshine when a phone call came in. After hanging up, Min Caillou told Jia to hide and not come out. After the visitor left, Min Caillou called Jia over and showed her a photo of 2 people: Huang Du-1, the chairman of KM Finance, and Huang Yuqiao, the managing director. He instructed her to memorize them. They were Min Caillou's enemies and potentially hers too. If she ever saw them, she had to avoid them as they could destroy her. Another guest arrived. Min Kaiu told Jaya to make coffee for them. "Oh my god, who is this? Why is her brother here?" She hesitantly delivered the coffee and planned to leave, but Min Kaiu called her back and introduced the two. Luckily, Jaya's brother was scared of Min Kaiu, and she deliberately turned her back and covered her face with her hair so that he wouldn't recognize her. Min Kaiu then tasked her brother with finding ways to sue the delivery girl. Seeing his brother's subservient attitude, he cursed Min Kaiu under his breath. He went back into the room and told her to change her clothes and leave. He even wanted to help her dress because he thought she was a stiff robot and would find it difficult to change. They went to visit the father of the girl, Uri Eli, who had taken pictures of Min Kaiu and kept them in his room. He informed them that his daughter would be returning from England tomorrow. At this point, Jaya learned that Min Kaiu's father had died in a car accident. Min Kaiu also revealed that his mother had passed away in a car accident 15 years ago. Seeing Min Kaiu's constant gloomy expression, she asked why he never smiled. Min Kaiu confessed that he only smiled in front of her. He never smiled at anyone else because he wanted to appear scary, so his employees would be afraid and not act carelessly. That night, Min Kaiu couldn't sleep. He looked at the photo of Uri and then opened a drawer, pulling out a stack of letters he had kept. The next morning, Rael arrived from the airport. Wanting to surprise Min Kaiu, she didn't tell him she was coming and went straight to his house. Seeing her, Min Kaiu told Jaya to hide and not let Rael see her. He went out to greet Rael. She boasted to him that she had been appointed the social contribution team leader at her company. However, the real reason she accepted the job was to be close to Min Kaiu. She also mentioned that her father wanted her to marry Min Kaiu. She then patted Min Kaiu's shoulder, causing the watch on his wrist to turn yellow. She even took his hand and said she wanted to go on a date. Instantly, Min Kaiu's body broke out in allergic reactions. He rushed into the house to grab his medicine, but collapsed before he could reach it. Seeing this, Jaya ran after him, remembering Min Kaiu's instructions. She grabbed the syringe with the preloaded medicine and injected it into Min Kaiu. While in a daze, Min Kaiu dreamt about his childhood memories playing card games with his parents, playing sports with Yuchiol, birthday celebrations with his parents around. Then, in one memory, their car was hit by a truck, and his parents never returned. He woke up in the hospital, being taken care of by his uncle, Hwang-do-won, who even helped arrange his parents' funeral. Afterward, he gave Min Kaiu a stack of documents, asking him to sign them to complete the funeral arrangements for his parents. But in reality, this was a ploy to take control of the company from him. Min Kaiu asked for the bathroom and pulled a postcard out of his pocket. It said he should not sign any documents from someone named Madame X, a mysterious person who had secretly put it in his pocket. Returning to the room, he overheard his uncle, Hwang-do-won, talking to someone else about tricking him into signing. Min Kaiu ran outside, where Yuchiol approached him with the documents, urging him to sign. As Min Kaiu put the pen to the paper, Yuchiol grabbed his hand in excitement. But suddenly, Min Kaiu saw that Yuchiol's hand was transforming into a demonic claw, and he screamed in terror, running away. It was then that he discovered he had developed this strange condition. Recalling this, Min Kaiu jolted awake. Still confused, Jaya asked, "How are you feeling?" Min Kaiu finally came to his senses, touched his body, then checked his watch. He was overjoyed, thinking that Aji 3 had recognized his condition and saved him. He grabbed her head and promoted her to pretty girl. Returning to the room, Jaya noticed a toy box she had bought before. She picked it up and saw it was indeed dirty. No wonder he wouldn't pay me. Then she remembered his words. It seems like he's not as bad as I thought. He must have been stabbed with a knife and felt a lot of pain. He has this weird allergy. I thought he lived a carefree life, but it turns out it wasn't easy for him at all. That evening, Jaya went to meet her best friend to talk about it. She was starting to develop a positive opinion of Min Kaiu. Meanwhile, Min Kaiu woke up and habitually called for Aji 3, but then remembered that he had sent her out. He called his doctor to report that his recovery was faster than usual this time, about 1 to 2 hours faster. The doctor was surprised and didn't understand the reason. In a different scene, Hwang Yu-cheol showed the video of Aji-3 to Jin-bi, Jae-a's brother, in his office. Jin-bi recognized the robot as his sister. Yu-cheol wanted to probe him about the robot and warned him to tell him if he had any information about it. Back in his room, Min Kyu was thinking about what Rael had said and remembering Aji-3. He realized he needed someone to talk to. He jumped out of bed and went down to Dr. Hong's research lab. As he reached the door, he heard laughter coming from inside. He thought that Aji-3 had skipped work to go out. He peeked through the door. At that moment, Jae noticed a red dot on the monitor. Looking up, everyone started to panic and ran out. Min Kyu just peeked inside when Hong Baek-jaeon also pushed the door open and walked out. Both of them were embarrassed, like thieves caught red-handed. Min Kyu then asked to meet and talk to Aji-3, but Hong Baek-jaeon said it was impossible because Aji-3 was charging. He then teased Min Kyu, saying that the broken skin sensor was caused by someone touching it too much. Ultimately, Min Kyu couldn't do anything and had to leave. It turned out they had planted a tracking software in Min Kyu's phone, which allowed them to escape a close call of being exposed. Back to Jae-a's brother, he couldn't sleep after returning home. He tossed and turned in bed, and his wife, noticing his restlessness, tried to rekindle their love by suggesting they drink beer and eat chicken. Seeing her husband's preoccupied look, she probed him about what was bothering him. In the midst of their conversation, she inquired about Jae. It was only at this point that Jin-bi learned that Jae's ex-boyfriend was Hong Baek-jaeon, the same guy who specializes in robot engineering. Meanwhile, Hong Baek-jaeon was secretly watching Jae asleep, reminiscing about their first encounter. Back then, she had approached him, asking him to design a special umbrella for couples in love to share. The next morning, as usual, Jae, in her role as Aji-3, went up to meet Min Kyu. Right from the start, Min Kyu asked her to switch to friend mode, claiming he had a lot to tell her and she was the only one he considered a friend. Suddenly, Jae noticed the box containing the necklace she had returned, still unopened on the table. Min Kyu instructed her to open it and put it on for him. He then explained its origins. It turned out to be the necklace that Min Kyu's father had given his mother when he proposed during a night filled with falling shooting stars. Later, his mother gave it back to him. Min Kyu asked Jae to turn on the TV and search for the Golden My Mountain, the very place where his father had proposed to his mother. Witnessing Jae's touched expression, he continued, Aji-3, this winter, on the day of the shooting stars, I'll take you there. If I ever propose to anyone in the future, I'll use this necklace to propose to her. As if opening his heart, Min Kyu started talking about his first love, Rael, but pretended she was a friend of his. He was wondering if his strange condition being unable to touch or kiss anyone would allow him to get married. What's wrong with you? You need to hold each other tight to call it love. Feeling frustrated, Min Kyu revealed that his allergy prevented him from physical contact with anyone. However, Jae didn't believe him because this condition wasn't recorded in his computer's memory. Back to Hong Baek-jaeon, Jin-bi confronted him, demanding to know why he used Jae to create a robot. He warned him that if he didn't change Aji-3's face, he would sue him. Jin-bi couldn't bear to see his sister get hurt again. Upstairs, noticing that Min Kyu cooked his own meals every day, Jae curiously asked why. He explained that he couldn't eat food from restaurants because he was accustomed to the taste of his mother's cooking. He had learned to cook from her. In a moment of emotion, Jae placed her hand on Min Kyu's shoulder. Though it was a gentle touch, it stirred up a deep emotion within him. If only my first love had been a robot. Then I could touch her hair, hold her hand like this, take her to crowded places, kiss her like this. If only it were possible. Touching her hand was like finding the answer. I'll give her this necklace. I'll give it to the last girl in my life. The next morning, Jae tidied up the pile of documents and letters on Min Kyu's desk. She strategically placed her application form on top, hoping he'd notice. Feeling cheerful because it was a beautiful day, Min Kyu took Jae to an open-air restaurant. He meticulously prepared everything, making sure everything was perfect for the arrival of someone very important, Rael. Meanwhile, Hong Baek-jaeon seemed to be getting jealous of Min Kyu's actions towards Jae. When he saw them going out, he hopped into his car and chased after them, determined to bring Jae back. Back to Min Kyu, Rael had arrived. But after all these years, she seemed to be a different person. She no longer liked Coco, and she didn't recognize the mug Min Caillou had gifted her for her 15th birthday. However, out of politeness, she decided to use it anyway. Then, she turned to Min Caillou and asked, "Have you made a decision about dating me?" After a moment of hesitation, Min Caillou replied, "Riel, I won't date you, and I won't kiss you. So, do you want to get married?" "No." Min Caillou then pulled out the box containing the necklace and handed it to Riel. "Isn't this your mother's heirloom? Are you rejecting or accepting my proposal?" Riel looked puzzled. "Neither. This is a gift for you, as a friend." Riel returned the box to Min Caillou. "This isn't a gift that friends should receive. I've finished my drink and heard your answer. It's time for me to leave." With that, she stood up and offered her hand. "Let's use this handshake to forget about that marriage proposal." Min Caillou had no choice but to reluctantly reach out and shake her hand. As soon as Riel turned to leave, Min Caillou slumped onto the table in despair. It wasn't that he didn't want to marry Riel, but his incurable illness was preventing them from being together. Filled with grief, he was about to throw the box into the lake when Jaya stopped him. Dejected, he sat on a bench by the lake, ignoring the beeping of his watch, reminding him that he needed his injection. The sky mirrored his mood, and it started to rain. Jaya grabbed an umbrella and held it over Min Caillou. They sat together quietly until the rain stopped. Then, Min Caillou reached out and took Jaya's hand. They walked arm in arm. "Can I ask you something? Why did you give her the necklace if you didn't want to marry her?" "Didn't I tell you? She was my first and last love. There will be other girls." "You're a robot. How could you understand the depths of human feelings? But I know you're the one he needs." "Me? Why else would he keep holding my hand?" Min Caillou suddenly realized he had been holding Jaya's hand the whole time. Even more strangely, his condition wasn't acting up, even though he hadn't taken his injection. As he was still processing this unexpected turn of events, he bumped into a janitor. Seeing Min Caillou fall, the janitor rushed to help him up. Min Caillou, startled, pushed the janitor away. But then, he noticed something amazing. His allergy was gone. He couldn't believe it. It felt like a dream. He quickly embraced the man. "Sir, let me touch you again." The janitor was completely shocked. Still unsure what had just happened, Min Caillou drove to a busy market. There were people everywhere. He was still nervous, but Jaya pulled him into the crowd. They wandered through the bustling marketplace, shopping, taking pictures, and buying snacks. However, the watch on his wrist remained a reassuring shade of green, indicating he was symptom-free. The joy of being cured was overwhelming. He couldn't wait any longer. He rushed to a quiet corner and called his doctor, excitedly telling him about his recovery. The doctor, of course, didn't believe him. But then, the signal from the watch suddenly changed to yellow, and his allergy symptoms reappeared. Jaya, who hadn't witnessed what happened, noticed Min Caillou's distress and went to find him. As soon as she appeared, his allergy symptoms disappeared as if they had never been there. Min Caillou finally understood. He hugged Jaya tightly. "It's all because of you. You're by my side. I'll buy you a battery, the longest lasting one. You are now the greatest treasure in my life. Stay by my side forever." At that moment, Hongbik Jayun, using the tracking device, found them. He saw Min Caillou holding Jaya in a romantic embrace and jumped in, throwing a punch and dragging Jaya away. Min Caillou wouldn't let her go, and they both tugged her in opposite directions. In the midst of the struggle, Jaya announced, "I'm down to 5% battery. I'm going into sleep mode to recharge." On the way back, sitting in the car, Jaya started scolding Hongbik Jayun for almost getting her exposed. He, on the other hand, seemed only interested in asking if Min Caillou had done anything to her, like kissing her. Not wanting to argue with him further, Jaya closed her eyes and went to sleep. When the car stopped, she opened her eyes to find herself in front of her own house. Before she could express her surprise, Hongbik Jayun announced, "Your part-time job is over." Back at home, Min Caillou excitedly informed his doctor about his recovery, claiming it was due to being around the robot girl. He even showed the doctor through a video call. The doctor advised Min Caillou to recall every detail of his time with Aji 3, believing there might be valuable clues for his cure. Meanwhile, Jaya, after being dropped off, didn't dare to enter her home and hid from afar. Later, she went to a yoga studio to calm herself. Now, she just hoped that her application for a re-examination would be approved by Min Kaiu, even though she knew it was highly unlikely given his personality. She reminisced about Min Kaiu's kiss, reminding herself that it was just a robot's kiss. Min Kaiu, on the other hand, was reflecting on Jai-A's actions and words, from when she scolded him for trying to touch her chest to check her battery to when she ran to his rescue, patting him on the back, and finally, when she held his hand. Just as he was lost in these thoughts, the doctor called. He asked Min Kaiu what would happen if he didn't see the robot girl for 10 days. Min Kaiu, after a moment of hesitation, admitted that he missed her. The doctor concluded that a friendship had formed between them, and that was the reason for the miracle. At Yuchiol's office, Rael stormed in, wanting to drown her sorrows in alcohol after being rejected by Min Kaiu. Yuchiol, seizing the opportunity, tried to flirt with her. But Rael's phone rang, and it was Min Kaiu on the other end. Rael, let's try dating a third time. And kiss, then get married. Okay? How about this weekend? Yuchiol once again lost to Min Kaiu. Before he could dwell on his disappointment, his subordinate reported that they had found the Santa Maria Group's headquarters. It was Min Kaiu's house. Rael, perhaps cheered up by Min Kaiu's invitation, checked her desk and found Jai-A's proposal. She was baffled that such a good idea had been rejected. Meanwhile, Jai-A, after her robot roleplay had ended, felt completely lost. She even defended Min Kaiu from her friend, Kai, who thought Jai-A had a crush on him. Jai-A was thinking of ways to visit Min Kaiu's house when her phone rang. It was a message from the KM Financial Company notifying her that her proposal had been re-examined by the new team leader. The two girls were overjoyed. Back at Min Kaiu's place, the next morning, Aji 3 didn't arrive as usual. He went to look for Hongbik Jian, who informed him that the experiment was over, and he was leaving to find a new investor. Their contract was terminated, and there was nothing holding him back anymore. He then confessed to Min Kaiu, "I couldn't stand your perverted behavior. You're always kissing and hugging Aji 3. With that, he left, leaving Min Kaiu stunned. Hongbik Jian, thinking it would be easy to find a new investor, started searching for new partners. However, everywhere he went, he was rejected. In the past, he had scammed people in America, so no one trusted him anymore. Jai-A, still dressed as Aji 3, was waiting at the gate of Min Kaiu's house to retrieve her bag when the butler arrived. Thinking she was still a robot, he put her in the car and drove her into the house. Jai-A was looking for a place to hide when she bumped into Min Kaiu. He thought she had missed him so much that she ran away from the research team. He embraced her, touched by her supposed gesture. He told Jaya he would do anything to keep her, saying, "What can't be bought with money can be bought with lots of money." This didn't seem to apply in this case. The assistant refused Min Kaiu's 50 billion won bribe and insisted on getting Aji 3 back. That night, the three members of the group set out to find Min Kaiu and demand the return of Aji 3. Despite Min Kaiu's attempts to bribe them with delicious food, the assistant remained adamant. With no other options left, Min Kaiu called Jaya into his room, buried his head in her shoulder, and cried. Jaya gently patted his back to comfort him. After a moment of reflection, Min Kaiu decided to go out and plead with them. Meanwhile, outside, Min Kaiu's robot floor cleaner suddenly malfunctioned. The three immediately gathered to fix it. As experts in the field, it was no problem for them. As they stepped outside, they saw Min Kaiu rushing over to the robot, frantically checking it as if a loved one had been injured. Moments later, the robot started working again. Min Kaiu hugged it and kissed it like it was family. Seeing this, the three realized that Min Kaiu simply adored objects, and he wasn't the pervert they had assumed him to be. The situation began to take a positive turn. They all drank beer together until they were intoxicated, and Min Kaiu fell asleep leaning against Jai-A's shoulder without realizing it. The next morning, Hongbik Jian returned and announced to everyone that he had found a new investor, on the condition that they bring Aji 3 for practice sessions. He urged everyone to pack up and move. They started disconnecting Aji 3 from the power supply. Jaya also packed her belongings into a suitcase and was about to leave when Hongbik Jian said he would see her off. But before they could get out of the door, Min Kaiu appeared. Hongbik Jian informed him that he had found a new investor, while Min Kaiu revealed that he knew why Hongbik Jian was called a fraud. It turned out that he had been framed by his colleagues who had stolen his research project. Min Kaiu promised to help Hong Beek Jian restore his reputation. However, it seemed to have touched Hong Beek Jian's pride. He appeared angry and refused Min Kaiu's help, stating he would reclaim his honor himself. Hearing this, Min Kaiu stepped forward and grabbed his hand. Instantly, his allergy symptoms reappeared. Looking directly at Hong Beek Jian, Min Kaiu pleaded, "Please help me." Back in the room, Hong Beek Jian decided to leave. While driving, the story of Min Kaiu's plea kept replaying in his mind. Min Kaiu decided to invite him up and tell him the truth about his condition. He showed Beek Jian his medical records from the military and his history of trying every kind of allergy medicine, from the most advanced to the newest, with no cure. But the miracle only appeared when Aji 3 was around. Feeling he couldn't abandon someone who needed help, Hong Beek Jian made the surprising decision to turn his car around. At his office, Yu Qiol was informed by his subordinates that the plan to steal Aji 3 had failed. He ordered them to implement Plan B. Meanwhile, Min Kaiu was deep in thought when he suddenly saw Hong Beek Jian's car return. The contract between them was quickly signed, but Hong Beek Jian made one condition. Min Kaiu was forbidden from touching Aji 3, even with a single finger. Otherwise, he wouldn't sign. Min Kaiu readily agreed. After the group left, Min Kaiu instructed Jai Bi to find someone named Dong Du Sang. Then, he went downstairs and called for Aji 3. They rode in an electric car through the sprawling mansion. "From now on, I will come to pick you up every day because we need to save battery power as much as possible. And you shouldn't move around too much, don't run or jump." Then he took Jaya to a spacious room, fully equipped with luxurious amenities and beautiful clothes. He asked her to choose an outfit and try it on, then come out. As Jaya emerged from the room, Min Kaiu couldn't believe his eyes. What kind of robot looks so human-like? She's so beautiful. Just as he reached out to caress her hair, he pulled his hand back, remembering his promise to Hong Beek Jian to not touch Aji 3. As if remembering something, Min Kaiu moved closer to Jia and said, "Aji 3, I want to kiss. I want to kiss Rael. I need to have a third date with Rael. I want to prepare well for this date, to make up for the last time. This is the first time I've tried to kiss someone." Jia immediately reported this to the group, but no one could help him with this. Jia then thought of her friend, Sun Hai. She went to see Min Kaiu, introducing herself as a kissing instructor. With her experience in loving almost 20 men, Sun Hai began to explain, but it seemed that theory without practice wouldn't stick. The three of them decided to go for a walk in the garden to find a romantic atmosphere. Suddenly, Sun Hai pushed Jia, causing her to fall into Min Kaiu. Min Kaiu quickly reached out to catch her, and their eyes met intensely. However, Min Kaiu eventually let go of Jia. At a restaurant, Yu Qiol met his father and told him about Min Kaiu's intention to marry Rael. He didn't want that to happen, but for now, he decided to deal with Aji 3 first. Meanwhile, Min Kaiu was preparing to go to his date with Rael, with Jia accompanying him. Hong Beek Jian insisted on coming along, saying he had to be there in case Aji 3 had any problems. The place Min Kaiu had chosen to meet Rael was the same spot where he had been with Jia previously. Jia and Hong Beek Jian followed them. Just like with Jia, Min Kaiu picked out a hat for Rael, but she refused, saying it would ruin her hairstyle. Then, at a music venue, Rael complained about the noise and left. This time, they went to a tattoo shop, where the shopkeeper, with a good memory but in the wrong place, said, "Oh, I remember you. You were here with a different girl last time." This embarrassed Min Kaiu. After walking for a while, their tired feet led them to a cafe. Seeing Rael massaging her feet, which were sore from wearing high heels, Min Kaiu, in a gesture of gallantry, went out for a moment, then came back with a pair of flats. He gently put them on Rael's feet. From afar, Jia couldn't help but feel a pang of longing. The ice cream was brought to the table. While Min Kaiu focused on Rael, Jia took a scoop and started eating. However, this action did not go unnoticed by the two men sitting across from them. They were Yu Qiol's men, sent to follow them and steal Aji 3. "Robots can't eat. Are you hallucinating?" "All right, I'll prove it to you." After finishing their drinks, Min Kaiu and Rael started walking again. As the sky began to look ominous, Hong Beek Jian went to buy an umbrella. Seeing this opportunity, one of the men who was following them approached Jia and pretended to accidentally jab her with a skewer. But the skewer broke, so he no longer suspected that AG3 was human. Suddenly, Rael received a call and had to leave in a hurry. I have an urgent matter. The score for today's date is higher than the Coco one. With that, she turned and left. It started raining heavily. Seeing Jia standing alone, Min Kaiyu went to her and held the umbrella over her. With a melancholic voice, he said, "This umbrella is finally being used this way. This is my most cherished umbrella. You should know how honored you are to be using it." Then, he pressed a button, and the umbrella turned white. Using this umbrella, you can see the rain falling on your head, which can make you feel better. The person who designed this umbrella is a genius or an artist. I want to meet them once. Min Kaiyu was completely unaware that the designer was standing right next to him and looking at him with love in her eyes. Just then, someone ran past and bumped into Jia. Min Kaiyu reached out to catch her. Their eyes met again, and Jia reminded him about the kissing lesson. A kiss is for a moment like this. The two faces leaned closer, and the umbrella turned back to its usual green color, as if to shield their kiss. Suddenly, Min Kaiyu startled and pushed Jia away. "What are you doing? I should be the one making the move, not you. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Let me try again." Min Kaiyu was about to rant some more when Hongbeek Jian appeared with an umbrella. Back home, Min Kaiyu was still fuming about what happened, and he vented his anger on the umbrella. "Because of you, I lost my first kiss. And it was a kiss with a robot, too." After calming down, Min Kaiyu sat at his desk and pondered. Why did she do that to me? Maybe I made a mistake when inputting the data. Then, as if remembering something, Min Kaiyu turned on the TV and watched a movie about robots. He suddenly thought, maybe because I inputted the data too well, AG3 developed feelings for me. Meanwhile, Jia was also blaming herself. Why did I do that? I almost got caught. Luckily, he's an idiot and didn't notice. But thinking about it, I can't help but feel a little happy. She burst out laughing. Back to Min Kaiyu, he went down to the research room. Seeing AG3 there, charging, he noticed something seemed different about her. While he was still wondering, Assistant Pai walked in. Min Kaiyu asked her if AG3 could develop feelings if the data was entered incorrectly. He received the answer. If the friendliness index increases, AG3 can actively hug her owner without being instructed. Understanding the problem, Min Kaiyu went upstairs with a cheerful attitude. He then called the doctor who treated him and excitedly told him about the incident, leaving the doctor surprised. The doctor promised to check it out personally when he got back. Jia was also very happy because of Min Kaiyu's unintentional compliment about the umbrella she made. She decided that when the experiment was finished, she would find Min Kaiyu and tell him that she's human, that she saved his life twice. What would he be like when he learned the truth? While she was basking in this daydream, Jia accidentally pressed the call button on Min Kaiyu's phone number. At home, Min Kaiyu was sitting there, wondering if it was a kiss or just a peck, when he saw a missed call from Jia. Jia hung up immediately after the accidental call, but when she saw Min Kaiyu calling back, she had to answer. Not knowing what to say, Jia decided to bring up the debt of 300,000 won she had from him. Min Kaiyu promised to pay her if she answered his question. "If I just gently touch my lips to yours, is it a kiss or a peck?" Jia replied. "That's definitely 100% a kiss." "So, did you like it? Did you feel a little flutter in your heart?" "I was completely panicking and speechless. I just jumped at you like that." After saying that, Jia panicked and hung up. On the other side, Min Kaiyu thought, "She's probably never been liked before, so I must have hit a sore spot." He sent a message to comfort Jia, "Someone will like you someday. Be strong." Then, Min Kaiyu went to bed, but couldn't sleep because he was so happy, feeling like he had 100 tons of gold in his house. Meanwhile, Hongbeek Jian started confessing to his assistant, Pai, that he wanted to start over with Jia. Assistant Pai advised him to find out why Jia broke up with him first. If the machine is broken, it will keep breaking if you don't fix the root cause. You need to find out what that root cause is. The next morning, as usual, Jia appeared in front of Min Kaiyu. He told her that it was his fault for entering the wrong data, so she had to re-enter the information into her system. "You are not allowed to love me." Just then, Sun Hai arrived, continuing her lesson, giving Min Caillou suggestions on romantic locations to meet Rael for a kiss. From the car to the movie theater, wherever Min Caillou imagined the location, he could picture Jaya interrupting the two of them. To get revenge for Aji 3 intentionally forgetting about their kiss, Min Caillou made her start doing chores, from bringing things from the car into the house to cleaning everything. He enjoyed lying on the sofa and watching her work, constantly coming up with things for Jaya to do. Hong Beek Jayan saw this and offered to help Jaya. When Min Caillou asked Jaya to fold his umbrella, Hong Beek Jayan quickly did it first, even claiming that he made the umbrella. But Min Caillou didn't believe him. He said the person who made it must be a genius, even better than Hong Beek Jayan, then called him in to show him the new research lab model, which was 6,000 square meters and had a closed circuit system that was very modern. Getting carried away, Hong Beek even demanded an extra restaurant and swimming pool in the design. That night, still wondering why he couldn't forget about the kiss while Aji 3 could, Min Caillou went down to the research team's room. Everyone was already asleep, so Min Caillou walked over to Aji 3, who was charging. From the first greeting, Min Caillou felt something was different. The more he talked, the more he felt she wasn't the Aji 3 from the day. However, he couldn't understand why she was like that. The next morning, when Jaya arrived, Min Caillou's attitude was completely different. Not only did he not give her any chores, but he also cooked for himself and invited her to watch a comedy movie and then washed clothes. Seeing the soap bubbles on Min Caillou's cheek, Jaya instinctively reached out to wipe them off. Immediately, Min Caillou grabbed her hand and said, "You didn't erase it, did you? You remember everything, don't you? It's so annoying. Why is a robot so human-like? You're not my friend anymore. You can leave." In another development, Hwang Do-won was having a conversation with Sung Ti, Rael's father. He informed Sung Ti that Yu Cheol was buying up all the shares of the small shareholders and was about to become the majority shareholder. At that point, he would remove Kim Min Caillou and become the new chairman of the corporation. He wanted to get Rael's father on his side and then marry his daughter to Yu Cheol. But Sung Ti refused and said that he always chose to be on Chairman Kim's side. Back with Dr. Hong's team, after Min Caillou helped them regain their honor after being unfairly treated by their colleagues in the S, they had a party at a restaurant. While everyone was raising their glasses to celebrate, Jaya couldn't drink because she was still playing the role of a robot. After the beer came the game of matching couples. The first couple chosen was Hong Beek Jayan and Pai. They had to stand up and go outside. In the end, only Jaya and Min Caillou were left. Min Caillou kept drinking beer alone, as if he had something on his mind but couldn't speak. Jaya approached him and told him to go home. He grabbed her hand and said, "I'm afraid you'll leave. I won't be okay without you." Suddenly, Min Caillou pulled Jaya close to him and said, "Let's play the game everyone played earlier. Okay? Whoever is kissed by a robot, fold a finger. Whoever has irrational thoughts, fold a finger. Whoever is angry, fold a finger. Whoever hates robots but secretly wishes they were human, fold a finger." After saying that, Min Caillou fell asleep on the table, and Jaya collapsed beside him, looking at him with dreamy eyes. "I'm not a robot." The next morning, Jaya was still asleep when she heard a loud noise. It turned out Aji 3, the robot, had been repaired, but she wasn't fully functional yet and needed time to stabilize. Hong Beek Jayan's plan was to replace Jaya with Aji 3 after 3 days, when she had been fully loaded with data and the system had been restarted and stabilized. Then, Hong Beek Jayan would tell Min Caillou the whole truth. Therefore, Jaya had to keep playing the role of Aji 3 for the next 3 days to prevent Min Caillou from discovering the truth. The next morning, while Jaya was still wondering how she would react to Min Caillou and what kind of expression she would have, he was already waiting for her at the door, urging her to put on warm clothes to go for a walk. Seeing Jaya in her yellow jacket, Min Caillou just said one sentence, "This outfit is not okay." He took Jaya to a luxury fashion store and bought her head-to-toe designer clothes, but his face was still cold, and he didn't compliment her once. Next, they went to a fancy restaurant. Jaya was about to follow Min Caillou to sit at the same table, but the waitress politely asked her to sit at another table. It turned out Min Caillou had made a date with Rael and her father to have dinner. From her table, Jaya saw that Min Caillou seemed to have something he wanted to say but couldn't articulate. fumbling like a nervous wreck. In the end, Min Caillou courageously told Rael's father that he wanted to propose to her. Of course, Rael's father immediately agreed and said he would make the news public. Then, Rael's father asked Min Caillou when he started liking Rael. He replied that he had liked her for 15 years and thanked her for sending him birthday cards every year. Rael seemed surprised, but her father held her hand as if reminding her of something. Back in the car, Rael asked about her father's confession. She learned that her father had sent the cards to win Min Caillou's affection. Back to Jia, she was sitting in deep thought when Min Caillou came over and offered his hand to help her up. However, Jia got up and walked away, ignoring Min Caillou's outstretched hand. On the way back home, Jia broke the silence. "Why did you bring me along today?" "Because you had to be there," Min Caillou replied. "Do you remember what you said last night?" "Yes, I remember, but it doesn't mean anything." "You're going to marry me, right? Why does someone like me create such emotions in a robot like you?" Returning home with a mix of emotions, Min Caillou looked at the postcard Rael had sent him. He realized that the handwriting wasn't Rael's, and he blamed himself for not noticing sooner. Meanwhile, Jia received a message from her sister-in-law asking her to take her niece to the hospital for an allergy checkup. While she was at the hospital, she asked the doctor about Min Caillou's illness, if it could be cured. The doctor replied, "There are cases where the illness gets better because the person has someone they truly trust." Then, she thought about herself. Why is it that he's allergic to others but not to me? I'm human too. Why is this happening? Min Caillou arrived home to find Jia also there, having just arrived. Her friend and niece mentioned his engagement and asked if she was going to confess. The scene shifts to Rael, who remembers Chul confessing his love for her while she was about to become Min Caillou's wife. They meet again, and she wants to resolve things before it gets out of control. Jin tries to avoid Chul, but he's called into Do-Won's office. Do-Won wants him to be the first to report Min Caillou's actions to him. Meanwhile, Jia has dinner with Dr. Hong. She wonders why he's been so good to her lately, afraid that he's going to make her do something. However, that's not the case. He also remembers the past and realizes that the day they broke up was also the day Jia failed her interview because of him. He was quite sad about that. That night, Jin reports to Min Caillou that before Chairman Park died, he met with Chairman Chun, and there's a recording of their conversation. Many questions arise, and they have to find a way to get the recording before the other side does. He warns Min Caillou to be careful. After dinner with Jia, Dr. Hong asks Sun Hai and the others to help him. As a result, when Jia returns to the research lab, she's met with a big surprise. Everyone wants to see her performance, but she makes them all exhausted because she's so bad. They offer her some suggestions. That night, neither Min Caillou nor Jia can sleep. They're both thinking about what happened. The next morning, a funding evaluation event for young entrepreneurs is held. Chul wants to personally evaluate Rael and help her out. She also gives a speech and announces that KM Financial will be participating as a judge. As Chul prepares to give his speech, he sees Min Caillou standing above, looking down at him. Min Caillou reminded his best friend to give a speech, and among those present was Do-Won. Jin recognized Jia-A's ridiculous light bulb design and the girl with the wig as his sister. Everyone went to check out the new items, and as expected, no one paid any attention to Jia-A's lamp. Even though Jin tried to stop her, he couldn't bear to see her dejected and encouraged his sister to introduce her product louder so people could understand its meaning. Dr. Hong also came to see this, intending to go over, but Jin pulled him aside. They both talked about Min Caillou not realizing Jia was the one and his desire to get back with his sister. At this point, as Jia was losing confidence, the image of her late father appeared, comforting his daughter. It was he who gave her the strength to confidently introduce her product. After listening to her presentation, some people came to take a look, which further intrigued others, causing them to crowd around. This made everyone present happy. Hong told Jin that Jia might be more talented than him in some ways, so he shouldn't underestimate his sister anymore. Rael and Chul also came to see the products. Rael remembered her dog, who had died, and how sad she was. Chul had comforted her back then. He also went to Jia-A's booth to encourage her. As he was about to leave, Min Caillou approached and asked what to do if someone became a source of great suffering for you. Jaya also remembered Min Caillou calling Chul and his father enemies, so she spoke up and advised him to find a new friend, as her father had taught her to meet different people and let time pass. He liked this advice and wanted to meet her father, but learned he had passed away. Min Caillou also told her that she reminded him of someone he knew and asked Jaya to take the light bulb to another area. When he touched it, he immediately remembered Jaya and left without realizing that she was standing right there. Jin and Hong were discussing getting back with Jai to get to know her better because they hadn't truly understood her before. Jin also told Hong not to cause any more misunderstandings between Min Caillou and the Santa Maria group because he was fighting alone, and his opponents were Chairman Du Won and Chul. Min Caillou went to get gas after going home. After filling up his tank, he forgot to touch the gas station attendant's hand. When he realized everything was fine and he didn't have an allergic reaction, which surprised him. After the product launch, Jaya remembered that she was a key factor for Min Caillou. The fact that Min Caillou could interact with other people surprised Dr. Park more than anyone. After 15 years, they could now hug each other like this. He also asked if Min Caillou was happy about something today and learned that he wanted to express his love to someone. He asked if Min Caillou wanted to live with the AG3 robot. But that was impossible because no girl would be happy to marry someone who lived with a robot girlfriend. As they were leaving, they crossed paths in the elevator without realizing each other. Min Caillou thought about this a lot and called his friend for help. Jaya went to meet Dr. Park to learn more about Min Caillou's special illness. He showed her a video of another patient with the same condition as Min Caillou, but he fell in love with a nurse and his illness improved, allowing him to live with the one he loved. This made Jaya realize that Min Caillou had been lonely all this time and had endured so much. She asked if a robot could be a cure like that nurse, making the doctor realize something. That night, Min Caillou made a date with Dr. Hong to talk. They shook hands and toasted to Min Caillou's recovery, unaware that Jaya had brought the doctor back to the research lab. When he saw AG3, he realized what was happening and went crazy because they had sent a human, not a robot. Above all, it made the man believe in love between humans and robots. At the same time, while intoxicated, Min Caillou confessed his love for AG3. He asked the doctor to input data for her, but was rejected because it was impossible. He tried to explain their relationship to make Min Caillou give up, but it wasn't easy. Making someone forget love was impossible. Besides, he could also feel AG3's love for him. The conversation only ended when Min Caillou was completely drunk and had to be taken home. Back at the lab, Jaya wanted to know if Min Caillou knew about the illness and still let her do wrong. She learned it was true. Everyone apologized, but Dr. Hong took all the blame himself. Jaya had nothing left to say after the situation unfolded again and left. As she was going out, she was spotted by the two idiots who mistook her for the AG3 robot. They followed her home and then found Jin, taking pictures of them. When he learned his sister had returned, he came to comfort her and listen to her confide in him about how she wished she had listened to him before. Meanwhile, Dr. Park met Hong and thanked him for everything, also mentioning the side effects of turning Jaya into a robot, causing Min Caillou to fall madly in love with her. He also thought about this a lot and called Jaya. He wanted to tell them both the truth tomorrow. While they were suffering because of this, AG3 was also called in and confided in Min Caillou. The next morning, as Hong and Jaya were about to tell the truth, Dr. Park received news that the patient who was like Min Caillou had died in shock after realizing that his girlfriend had deceived him. He stopped them from revealing the truth. As a result, Dr. Hong went to see him alone and talked about resetting AG3. Jaya became AG3 and went to see Min Caillou, receiving compliments for being his friend for the past month. She had done everything to make his life better, like a miracle. She also accepted this and wished him a very happy life. She also thanked him and apologized. Min Caillou set the reset mode and gave her his ring, then hugged her with regret. Jaya returned to the cafe in sadness and was comforted by Sun Hai. They both had a heavy heart, unable to reveal the truth because Min Caillou's safety would be at risk. The next morning, he still hadn't remembered resetting AG3. When he recalled the events, he only remembered her through past memories. He cleaned up everything related to her and promised himself to be happy. He then went to the company, scaring the employees, and told them he'd be coming to work every day from now on. His presence caused everyone to disappear, as usual. Min Kaiu caught those who talked bad about him behind his back, but didn't blame them because it was their way of relieving stress. The doctor warned Min Kaiu to be careful during this time and carry a syringe with him, not to be complacent. He saw Jin eating alone and joined him, asking why he was eating alone. Jin told him that he was on the losing side, so no one dared to eat with him. The scene shifts to the two incompetent men. After failing to catch Aji 3, Do-won's people lost faith in them and fired them. Back to Min Kaiu, he told Jin that Chairman 1 was about to hold an emergency board meeting regarding his dismissal, so they needed to get the documents from Jang Do-sam to turn the tables on him. There was another way, but it would be damaging in some ways, so the first option was better. They worked together for a long time until they were exhausted, then went home. When they got home, Min Kaiu found the research team busy in the kitchen making food. After meticulously measuring, they made a bowl of porridge for Min Kaiu. At first, he said it wasn't good, so Dr. Hong wanted it back, but Min Kaiu refused, saying he was eating it for their sincerity. They agreed and thought that they should leave as soon as possible for Min Kaiu's sake. Because of this, they tried to be as friendly as possible, inviting Min Kaiu to play games with them at 2 am. Unable to sleep, Min Kaiu found a new toy and called Jia, surprising and moving her. As before, he needed Jia to hunt for items for him, making her cry uncontrollably. She also heard his sincere words, saying that his best friend had left, so he turned to toys to forget about it. Jia said she would leave far away and refuse the item hunting task. Immediately after hanging up, she cried like rain, and Dr. Hong, who was outside, could feel her affection for Min Kaiu. The next morning, Jia went to get her passport and informed her family that she would be going to Australia for a year. As she was about to go out to earn money, her livelihood, her car, broke down. Thankfully, Hong was there to fix it. He said he had dreamt about the car breaking down the night before, which left Jia speechless. Both of them still couldn't forget each other. Min Kaiu imagined Aji 3 beside him, while Jia saw Min Kaiu in passers-by. She worked at various jobs to make money, from selling goods to loading and unloading. The scene shifts to the father and son. The father said that tomorrow, he would dismiss Min Kaiu and make Chul the new financial chairman. Chul didn't like it, but he had to obey and heard about Chairman Park's death. On Min Kaiu's side, he managed to contact Mr. Jang Do-sam, but when he saw someone come to see him, he made an appointment for another day. It seemed like they needed Plan B to keep Min Kaiu in his position. Then he went to look at wedding dresses with Rael, unexpectedly encountering Jai, who was delivering goods. Rael could feel his indifference and thought about Chul. If it were him, he would have treated her better. The next day, the important meeting took place, and Min Kaiu was the center of attention. Mr. One thought he was unworthy and irresponsible. Min Kaiu accepted his opinion and asked about the successor, learning that it was Chul. However, he revealed that Chul would be dismissed immediately after taking office because he had implemented Plan B, introducing the Santa Maria Group, who would create android robots. As a result, the vote went in Min Kaiu's favor. Chul resigned immediately after, as planned. However, he also said he would still strive to surpass Min Kaiu. Min Kaiu told him to leave it in the past, because Chul always pretended not to know about his father's actions. After this, Min Kaiu went to the library to look at the storybook again, then went home sadly. He received a gift from Jia, 2 love lamps that would bring beautiful moments even when they were far apart. After touching them and seeing Aji 3's image, he had an attack and ran away. At that time, Hong's team was about to change Aji 3, but Min Kaiu stopped them, saying he shouldn't have deleted everything. He wanted to find her again and asked Hong to re-input all the old data because he missed her very much. Seeing him so heartbroken, the doctor could only let Min Kaiu use Aji 3. He tried to recall their own memories, but he couldn't find the beautiful words and phrases from before. Min Kaiu didn't know how to restore Aji 3 to her previous state. They had changed a lot. Aji 3 was the real Aji 3, and Min Kaiu was no longer allergic, so he couldn't meet me as before. Those were the words Aji 3 and the Santa Maria Group used to make Min Kaiu forget about her. A few days later, fate brought Min Kaiu face to face with Jia on their trip. Jia's eyes met his, and all she wanted was to look at him for a long time. However, she had to act like a stranger to avoid putting Min Kaiyu in danger if he learned the truth. Min Kaiyu only looked at her until the end of the train ride before reluctantly leaving Jai heartbroken. He immediately called the doctor and asked him who he had used as a model for Aji 3's face. The doctor said he used the face of an employee who suited Aji 3 but couldn't get in touch with her now. He asked why Min Kaiyu was asking, and Min Kaiyu lied, saying he was just curious. Hearing this, the doctor advised Min Kaiyu to pretend not to know her if he met her. Later, the doctor met Chul and talked about the girl in the photo. It turned out the two incompetent men had shown the picture of Jai to Chul and wanted to ask the doctor who she was. The doctor told him that she was the model for Aji 3, but Chul wondered if Min Kaiyu had met this girl or the Aji 3 robot. At the same time, the two incompetent men infiltrated the office to carry out their scheme. One of them quickly managed to install a virus on the system, making Chul happy. Meanwhile, Min Kaiyu continued to follow Jai to her hometown. As soon as she arrived, she greeted her grandmother and immediately started helping her with chores. Everyone at the harbor loved Jai. It wasn't until the evening that Min Kaiyu could no longer bear it and decided to reveal himself. He asked Jai if she knew him. Jai froze for a moment and said no, pretending not to know him. Min Kaiyu invited her to talk, even if it was just for a little while. She tried to refuse, but he was determined to wait, so Jaya took off her necklace and called Sun Hai for advice. Sun Hai told her to chase him away like a stranger, so she scolded him, saying that following her from the train station to her hometown was crazy. Min Kaiyu didn't mind and ordered food, making Jai feel embarrassed and unsure of what to do. Meanwhile, the research team was busy stopping the infiltrators' scheme. They realized that the virus had been planted from within and identified the fake designers. With their brains and skills, they defeated the group of incompetents. Chul received the news and was furious, wanting to destroy everything. He was stopped by Rai-El. He wondered why Min Kaiyu had her and he didn't. Rai-El was furious when she heard this and gave him a lecture before going back home. She also went home and talked to her father about Chul being fired and, more importantly, that she couldn't marry Min Kaiyu like that. He was still adamant about his decision, hoping his daughter would become the chairman's wife. Back to Min Kaiyu, he was still sitting there, determined to have a proper conversation with Jai, but she refused. Seeing this, her grandmother encouraged her, saying she didn't know what was going on, but not to worry anyone like that. After regaining her courage, Jai finally faced him. Meanwhile, Dr. Hong had received a message from Jai after dealing with the hackers. He tried to call back, but couldn't get through, so he called Dr. Park. Dr. Park was incredibly worried and told Hong to completely deny that Jai was Aji 3. At the same time, Min Kaiyu mentioned losing a friend who was very similar to her, leaving Jai speechless. She pretended to be the representative for the Aji 3 robot, as instructed by Dr. Hong. She tried to get Min Kaiyu to leave, but he only asked to sit and look at her for a while. As a result, he was promptly kicked out and received a string of insults, making Min Kaiyu chuckle because it was no different from Aji 3's curses. He decided to rent a room for the night, but was kicked out again. Jaya then received a message from Hong that he was on his way. He called Jaya and told her to act differently so Min Kaiyu wouldn't recognize her. Because he has an IQ over 150, so he's very perceptive. However, before she knew it, Min Kaiyu came in, making her jump, just like the first time they met. The others heard this and continued to advise her on getting rid of Min Kaiyu, but her grandmother came out and said there was still a spare room. Min Kaiyu had the opportunity to stay. Jaya was furious at his stubbornness, but she couldn't explain the situation to her grandmother. At this point, Hong called to say that the girl had told him about Min Kaiyu bothering her. He was on his way and told Min Kaiyu to stop it, or he would scare the girl. Min Kaiyu later called Jin and told him about the model, making him realize that he was in his hometown. It seemed like Dr. Hong's team's journey was getting worse, as fate kept throwing obstacles their way. The hacker group didn't give up and managed to restore a file, while the group at home wasn't paying attention. As dawn approached, when Min Kaiyu was buying coffee, Jai-A's grandmother asked him to go with her because it wasn't fully light yet and she was afraid something might happen to her granddaughter. He readily agreed, leaving Jai speechless. As a result, they got to sit together again, just like before. The kind uncle outside even locked the storage room door because he didn't know that the two of them were inside. The irony was that there was no signal inside, so they couldn't call for help and had to wait until morning for someone to pass by. Jaya tried to find something useful and found a pile of straw. It would help them survive for a few hours without freezing to death. Meanwhile, the other two were stuck in their car because it had stalled. Pai asked him what he thought about the feelings between the two, knowing that he could never get back with Jia. He didn't realize that another girl was also watching him and harboring feelings for him every day. Back in the storage room, after finding some food and drinks, the two of them started talking about Aji 3. He didn't understand why, but he wanted to pour out his heart to Jia, who was now in the role of his sister-in-law. She told him that if he would stop bothering her from tomorrow, she would talk to Min Caillou until they got out of there. Back in the broken car, Dr. Park was worried and called Hong, urging him to hurry up. He realized Pai had been fixing the car alone while he was sleeping, so he came over and applied medicine to her. Min Caillou continued to talk about resetting Aji 3, but wanted to keep talking. He had been trying to live happily ever after without her. When asked why he thought it was foolish to reset Aji 3, he hid the fact that he loved the robot and explained it in a different way, but it was enough to make Jaya shed tears. Then Min Caillou wanted to hear about Jaya's family, and she told him about her relatives, including her amazing late father. After pouring out her heart, Jaya told Min Caillou to go back and continue his unfinished work. Exhausted, they leaned against each other and fell asleep. The next morning, Hong arrived and learned that Min Caillou was upstairs and about to leave. They shook hands and said goodbye, keeping their promise not to bother Jia. However, when he went outside, he saw a group of people coming in, and her grandmother wasn't home, so he decided to help out. Meanwhile, after getting the data, Chul asked Jin to talk. He mentioned that Jia was involved in the current situation, but Jin tried to explain that Hong and his sister had been in love, so they used her face for the Aji 3 robot. But it was not easy to fool a clever guy like this. Dr. Hong still didn't know what was going on and was serving customers with everyone else before eating. Chul went to see his father and told him that he would reclaim everything and asked him to call another urgent meeting because he had proof that the research team was deceiving Min Caillou about Aji 3. At the same time, the group at home, after waking up from drinking, realized the consequences of their actions when they let out important information. Min Caillou didn't know that a big scheme was coming for him and was still enjoying the time he had with the girl. Finally, it was time to go back. That sadness came back to the two of them, but they had to deal with the important matter at hand. Hong was shocked when he learned that Aji 3 had saved the data herself. When he got to the car, he was even more shocked to see that Min Caillou had disappeared. It turned out that he had run back to find Jaya after remembering her familiar words. But she had already left, so Min Caillou ran around looking for her. He found the girl sitting alone, crying. However, Jaya didn't know this and put on the ring she was given, helping Min Caillou realize the truth. He asked her if she had been lying to him all along, and then had an uncontrollable rash. Min Caillou quickly collapsed in pain. Luckily, he had his medicine, and the two others gave him an injection. However, his condition didn't improve, so paramedics arrived. Thankfully, Dr. Park managed to control the situation and save Min Caillou's life. The research team was also called to Mr. One's place and told him everything they had done. He advised them not to get involved in what was about to happen. After being unconscious, Min Caillou finally woke up and saw Jia. Neither of them said anything because they didn't know what to say at this point. Jin came to report that the Santa Maria group was a fraud and that Aji 3 didn't exist. The group of four admitted they had deceived Min Caillou so that the others wouldn't release evidence of his deadly, strange disease. He was still very upset and wanted to sue everyone involved, including Jin, who also resigned because of his sister. Jin relayed the farewell message to the research team, and they all accepted it because they were the ones who caused this. Outside, Jaya asked the doctor what she should do because she was the one who caused his illness to come back. He didn't know what to do, and his answer was that it was up to her, because she was the one who created that miracle. Therefore, she cheered up again, went home, and asked her sister-in-law for help with food. The Santa Maria group, having nowhere else to go, also went to stay at the cafe. The two fathers sat together, discussing the incident and canceling the marriage of Rael to Chul. Then, they decided to overthrow Min Caillou and create a new empire. At the same time, Jaya cooked food and brought it to Min Caillou, but he refused and threw it away. However, she didn't give up and made food every day and brought it to him. This made Min Caillou furious. He threw everything away and chased Jaya away. She only apologized and said she would come back tomorrow. Min Caillou was also kept awake by Jaya's harsh words. He went to look at the construction that had deceived him, then went to talk to the butler. He taught him many things, making Min Caillou think again. He waited for Jaya to bring food the next day, but she didn't come. He thought she was lying, so he took out her work report and realized she was the owner of the lamp. As soon as she brought food, they had a confrontation, but Jaya could only bow her head and apologize, allowing Min Caillou to pour out his heart. He said he had waited for her like an idiot, not understanding why she had the audacity to show up again. He said hurtful things, making both of them feel deeply hurt. Jaya could only cry and apologize, not daring to tell him that she had also fallen for Min Caillou. He was furious, smashed things, and wanted Jaya to disappear from his life forever. She quietly left in solitude. The next day, Jin tried his best for Min Caillou during his last days. He told Hong about the existence of a weapon that could turn the tables Jiang Du Sam. He needed Hong and his associates to find him to protect what they treasured. After the incident, Jaya didn't give up and wanted to talk properly, so she still brought Min Caillou food. Sun Hai learned everything and went to defend her best friend. She announced that Jaya was leaving for Australia and gave Min Caillou a gift by explaining what had happened. She said that what he saw might not be everything he needed to see, that he should feel it. Hearing her words, Min Caillou calmed down and thought about it, then went to the cafe to see his brothers. They tried to chase after him, but he didn't have the courage to embrace them. He went back home in the evening, knowing that it would rain that night and that Sun Hai had taken an umbrella for Jai-A. After researching information about the magical umbrella and the pair of light bulbs, and remembering the kiss, he had an answer. He immediately drove to the place where he could see the meteor shower best and waited for her image. Min Caillou, trying to appear strong, forced Jaya to start the story by telling him everything, from the beginning, including how they first met when she was hunting for items for him. Min Caillou then realized that he had always underestimated her seemingly simple words, which held so much meaning, making him realize his naivety. He had been so gullible that he'd been completely fooled by the whole group. Everything was clarified, but he still couldn't accept that he was so foolish. At the same time, the two men were diligently searching for the mysterious factor, their last hope. If they could convince him, the situation would return to their side. In the car, Dr. Hong asked why Jin wasn't angry with him. Jin explained that he looked at the situation from both sides. They had done wrong from the beginning, but he saw their sincerity. Meanwhile, Rai-El's father informed her about everything that was happening and welcomed Chul and his father to a meeting. She was furious at being treated like an object and stormed off. Back to the awkward couple, Min Caillou really wanted to know if Jaya had feelings for him. She poured out her heart, making them both feel relieved. Min Caillou also accepted Jaya as a human being, not a robot, as before. He realized that during the reset, not only he but also Jaya had suffered greatly, unable to say anything to him. Min Caillou wanted to reward her with a kiss, but stopped himself. Jaya only wanted to be closer to him, so she leaned on his shoulder. He wanted to keep these beautiful memories forever, saying he wanted to end it there. Just as he was about to leave, Jaya tried to stop him, confessing that she had fallen in love with Min Caillou. Hearing this, he turned back and kissed her happily. The next morning, Jaya was asleep, leaving Min Caillou wondering if they had stayed up all night. He felt very refreshed. He also had an attack while shopping, but when he looked at Jaya sleeping, the pain subsided. Min Caillou took Jaya home, surprising his sister-in-law because Jaya had been distraught the day before, but now she was bright and cheerful. The scene shifts to Du-Won and his son. Today they met with a very powerful foreign chairman to sign a contract. He demanded that they bring Aji 3 for inspection, making Du-Won tremble. At the same time, the two men, after waiting in ambush until morning, finally met Jiang Du Sam. The doctor told him about the events that were happening and asked for his help. He revealed the truth, that Chairman Park's death was caused by Du-Won, and that he also wanted to bribe him. After discussing the important matters, Jin received a call from Min Caillou. The god realized he had been hasty and called Jin to drop all lawsuits against everyone. When he arrived home, Jin noticed that the chairman was a little apprehensive, apologized to him, and refused to accept his resignation. Then he revealed that he liked Jai, and the two of them started discussing their main task. A while later, the bad guys arrived to take Aji 3, as per the agreement between the Santa Maria Group and Mr. 1. When Min Caillou got the news and ran to see, Aji 3 was already being taken away. Everyone could only beg their younger brother, unable to do anything else in this situation. Dr. Hong also recounted his past, but he created Aji 3 to find answers from the past. Now he had found them, and his life had closed a chapter. He saw Min Caillou and Jai were a perfect match and didn't have the courage to confess, missing his chance. Min Caillou said that he would not let the others take Aji 3 and that he would withdraw the lawsuit, not because he forgave them, but because of the company. The next morning, as planned, Min Caillou dressed up and went to see the bad old man, making the old man laugh because it was the first time he had come to see him. Min Caillou wanted to ask him to cede the rights to use the Santa Maria Group in exchange for his giving up everything. However, the old man had already sold them to a business partner, so there was no deal to be made. Chul was also surprised that his best friend had gone so far, accepting those who had stabbed him in the back. Chul was furious that Min Caillou had held a grudge over him tricking him as a child, but had forgiven the Santa Maria Group. Min Caillou explained that because of him, they had given up the most important thing to them. Perhaps the two father and son wouldn't understand that. Min Caillou then went to see Rael's father, hoping to ask for his help, but received the reply that his daughter would marry Chul tomorrow. After returning home, Min Caillou was invited to dinner by the Santa Maria Group and Jai, where they enjoyed the food they made. Everyone was united in their fight against the enemy. While he was cuddling with Jai, Min Caillou suddenly received an important message and immediately told her that he had found a way to get Aji 3 back, leaving her confused. Shortly after, they went to meet someone important to Min Caillou. She told him that the foreign chairman was a very evil person who had committed many murders, but they couldn't find any evidence to arrest him. Perhaps they could work together to overthrow this evil group. The next morning, Jin was surprised to learn that his sister was now the chairman's personal driver. There, they met Mr. Sam, Chairman Park's driver, and successfully persuaded him to testify. Using their limited time, they carried out their plan. Just as the two masterminds were about to sign the contract, the police stormed in, demanding to arrest Mr. 1 for murder, shattering everything. Not only that, but the Americans were also furious because Aji 3 had vanished without a trace. Somehow, she was moving on her own and going home. Of course, she had evidence of the villain's conversation, so they wanted to get it back or eliminate her directly. The Americans also threatened Chul that if he didn't follow their orders, his father would be in trouble, because this group had provided Mr. 1 with the money to buy shares. So, Chul silently did as he was told. The signatory also revealed that the American was the one who killed Chairman Park and blamed Mr. 1, and they were completely defeated because they had no evidence. The scene shifts to Aji 3. With her intelligence, she was able to buy a bus ticket and find her way home. The two opposing sides were racing to find her and obtain crucial evidence. Surprisingly, the two incompetent men found her first and tricked Aji 3 into getting into their car. Just then, the bad guys arrived, but thankfully, the police were immediately there to control them. The Santa Maria Group also came to take her back. This stabilized things. They had recovered what they had lost. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Min Caillou rekindled his feelings for Jai by flirting with her and sharing passionate kisses. The enemy side also accelerated their pace when the American escaped. The secretary went to Rael's father and gave him all the shares, hoping he would save the sinking ship. Coincidentally, Rael overheard their entire plan and its cruelty. The scene shifts back to Min Caillou's home. They were having a birthday party for his younger brother, who was very happy. They all sat down to review the data Aji 3 had collected and decided to change Aji 3's face and delete all the data related to Min Caillou's illness that Aji 3 had automatically saved. That night, Chul unexpectedly went to Min Caillou's home and met the butler, who told him everything about Min Caillou's life from the time he lost his parents. The story made Chul realize how strong Min Caillou had to be to endure everything until now. He felt very guilty. Chul went to alcohol for comfort and revealed that he had told Rael about Min Kayu's illness. All of his questions were answered. From that point on, Min Kayu had acted strange towards Chul, but Chul thought he was right. Rael also encouraged him, saying they hadn't been old enough to understand at the time, so it wasn't his fault, and Min Kayu would understand if Chul sincerely apologized. At the meeting to dismiss Min Kayu from his position as chairman, Chul stepped forward and asked the board to postpone the meeting for a moment because Min Kayu was holding a press conference on the other side. Min Kayu admitted to the media that he had a strange disease, an allergy to humans. He also praised Jin's ability to help him run the largest corporation, even though he was sick. He said that to stand before everyone today and reveal this, his illness had improved a bit. Min Kayu recounted how a robot had changed his life. He recounted everything, to the joy and pride of everyone watching. Furthermore, from now on, the financial company would expand into science and technology, using human emotions as its core. At the same time, the company's stock price skyrocketed, causing the shareholders to be overjoyed. Chul then confidently stated that the company couldn't function without Chairman Min Kayu, shocking Rael's father. Rael gained the confidence to vote to stop the dismissal. She also acted as an intermediary for the two best friends to pour out their hearts to each other after 15 years. Chul admitted that he had known what he had made Min Kayu sign, but pretended not to know. Min Kayu asked his friend to advise his father to confess, because the other group was being hunted by the world police. They shook hands to rekindle their old friendship. Min Kayu then accepted Jin's departure. Jin had decided earlier that everything was over and asked to be removed from the battlefield. Dr. Hong's feelings for Pai also grew stronger after the events. Min Kayu told the Santa Maria group that Jin was leaving. Pai said that it was natural for him to leave because his sister and the chairman were in love, so it was difficult. Back home, Jin informed his wife and sister that he had resigned, making his wife very angry because he hadn't told her beforehand. The next morning, Chul went to his father and advised him to confess everything. His father said it wasn't over yet. Later, Min Kayu went to see him and told him that he would let Chul be the director. Of course, his relationship with Rael was also developing very well, and their relationship would remain good. Then, Min Kayu was invited to Jin's house to talk about his resignation, which shocked him. There, Min Kayu felt the warmth of their family through the photos. During dinner, the two men tried to speak first, leaving the three women unsure of what to do. After a while, Min Kayu said he really liked Jin and wanted him to continue working for him. Jin had been scolded by his wife all night, so he decided not to resign and agreed. The story didn't end there. That evening, Min Kayu's sister-in-law went into labor, causing everyone to panic. When they arrived at the hospital, Jin announced that the mother and child were both doing well, making his two siblings very happy. That night, the Santa Maria group launched the smartest robot in the world, AG3, but with a completely different appearance. A while later, Jin became the company's finance director. The other couples also found their happily ever after. Jai A's work also prospered, until Min Kayu finished his military service and returned. She greeted her husband in the falling snow. They kissed after days apart, sealing their happy ending.